I am a candy cadet. Come get your candy here. I have candy all day, every day. Candy, candy, candy.
Now I will tell you a story about a man named Bruno Gate. Bruno lived with his wife Dolores and young daughter Eve. Unfortunately, his daughter fell victim to a sickness that could only be cured with surgery. However, they could not afford the cost of the procedure. Desperate to save his daughter's life, Bruno spent a lot of time away from home gambling away his savings in hope he would earn enough to one day afford the surgery. But, rather than gain the fortune he was after, he ended up losing relationship with his wife. At this time, word spread of the famous Wario's fast food factory, owned by a man called Wario, and his business partner Waluigi. Wario had made a secret hamburger recipe, whom many people tried to steal, due to how successful it made Wario. One night, in Bruno's desperation to save his daughter's life, he attempted to steal the recipe, and sell it for a small fortune. He stole a costume so to not be recognized by the cameras. Unfortunately, Wario, who was on night shift at the time, caught him in the act. In a state of panic, Bruno grabbed a knife and stabbed Wario, killing him in the process. However, Wario was not the only one in the factory that night. They say once you kill once, you are bound to kill again. That night, rather than being the key to saving one girl's life, Bruno ended up being the key to 5 deaths. But things went from bad to worse, for there was another reason why Wario was so successful. 1 month prior, Wario was almost bankrupt. His factory was not earning as much profit as expected. One day, he noticed a small book lying on the ground around the back of the factory. It was a witch's book, full of spells and stuff used in cults. Desperate to keep the factory open, Wario recited one of the spells, which did exactly as he hoped. Except now there was a catch. After Bruno murdered the 5 employees, the book caused their bodies to come back to life as murderous spirits. Before you could say the word karma, the ghosts killed Bruno in revenge. Bruno's spirit was left to haunt the factory, with nothing else to do but feel sad and sorry for what he had done. The other ghosts escaped, causing havoc on the town through possessing the body of a Richard McRoy. Thanks to a man named Edward Coleman, they were lured back to the factory. Bruno then took his chance to apologize to the spirits for what he had done, which then allowed them to rest in peace.
Welcome, welcome. The theater is proud to present tonight's shows. If this is your first time visiting, we hope the experience will be one to remember. I want to give a warm welcome to our only and honored guest who's sitting there in the audience. You will be able to participate in our interactive theater shows tonight. The concept is simple. You have one main task for the evening, and that task is to complete a big final show that will leave the audience in awe. You can actually choose to give this a try at any point, but playing in the theater is no easy feat. So we recommend that you play in our 5 smaller shows first for some stage experience. You can choose any of the 5 shows in any order and do as many as you want. Once you feel you have a strong enough spine for the task, take a leap of faith and jump into the final show. You only get one chance though, so choose carefully. It's in our choices that results emerge. I believe we are ready. Let the shows begin.
Testing. Testing. Is this thing even on? Ah, there we are. Hello, honored guests, and welcome to the backstage. Yes, I know it does sort of look like a dungeon, and yes, we have indeed locked you in here. But we don't want you having second thoughts about this new and exciting theatrical journey. Now, I know the previous voiceover may have sounded like this would be a wonderful experience, and it will be, for the audience. Unless getting torn to pieces by the entities, monsters, demons, viruses, whatever they're called, is considered an honor. Oops, maybe I said too much. But don't worry, if things ever go bad, you'll wake up right back here. For you can't actually die, as you aren't technically alive anymore. Although your number of attempts, let's call them lives, will decrease. Running out of lives will cause all the shows to reset for you to beat again. So we encourage you to keep trying. As the previous voiceover said, your main goal is to beat the final show, and we recommend having at least 20 lives for that. Now, to earn more lives, you'll need to complete one of the 5 shows you see before you. You can choose the difficulty as well. The harder it is, the more lives you can earn. However, failing a show on Insanity difficulty will cause you to lose 2 lives, so there is some risk involved. The audience wants to see some variety as well. Hence, once you beat a show on a certain difficulty, you cannot do it again, as that is boring. You can also use your lives to purchase items from the shop. Use these to assist with the more difficult shows. The description of each item is next to it, so at least I don't have to go explaining that. Alright, now let me quickly go through the 5 shows. Please pay attention to the screen in front of you. First up is the Cellar. Again, we know it looks like a dungeon, but don't let that distract you, as you need to focus on completing some tasks we set. You'll need to complete them quickly because, to add suspense, you will be mercilessly hunted down by one of those entities I mentioned earlier. The entity will give you only 5 minutes to complete them before things turn ugly. There'll also be another entity down the hallway of the cellar, which you just need to scare away with the flashlight provided. Next is Cooking with Emma. Who is Emma? Unfortunately, I cannot answer that for the time being, and to be honest, I hope you never find out. Sorry, I can't daze out there. This show will require you to get 15 ingredients into a bowl. Sounds easy, right? Well, not really. We have footage of someone attempting this previously to hopefully give you an idea of how hard this is.
Very, very carefully, gonna do this thing, and we're gonna... I didn't touch anything! Alright, strawberry. Wait, that's not a strawberry. Wait, what? No, no! 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 Oh, okay. Hi. Oh, okay. 3 and a 4, and we're good. Alright, give me... No, what the fuck? Why'd it go down? What the fuck?
Up next is playing with power. Hope you like video games, as you'll be stuck in a small room with a computer. Your job is to collect power from it to keep it charged and also to keep track of, well yes, you guessed it, another entity. Alright, time for my favourite, Safety Terror. Made because someone already went and explained how this works for me.
Thank you for choosing Safety Terror Interactive Theater Experience. You are currently in an unknown location, but you are not alone. There are currently 3 entities roaming the building you currently find yourself in. They move freely in this building, which consists of 9 identical rooms. They can be anywhere. In order to finish the show, you must reach 3 specific rooms and turn their lights back on. Once all 3 rooms have their power back, the show is complete. You can see which rooms require this maintenance on the left side of your map. You can enter an adjoining room at any time, but you have to be absolutely sure the room is empty before you step inside. Thus, there are precautions that need to be made before proceeding to a new room. There are doors linking every room together. You can open and close any door at any time in order to open or block a path of an entity. Trap entities in rooms in order to make the path to the next room safe. Entities are by default unable to be detected on the map. They can, at this moment, be far away or maybe in the room next to yours, listening to you getting this pre-recorded message through the wall. In order to calculate the safety of your environment as accurately as possible, you have a limited amount of equipment you can use. Spend them wisely, together with your map's ability to toggle doors and move carefully through the corridors. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. We want to warn you to not let the silence trick you. You are not alone here.
And last, but certainly not least, we have a true lie. This one is kind of like a game show. You'll be asking 5 princesses some questions, and only one is telling the truth. If you can tell us which one is telling the truth, you win. If you get it wrong, you get to enjoy a nice jump scare. And yes, that's right, the whole being torn apart thing. Word of advice, don't try insanity. Somehow the show turns something completely different, which I wasn't given any notes on, unfortunately. After you experience those 5, you should be good to try the final show. You can choose to take on the gauntlet either as yourself or with the yellow costume provided. It looks familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. There are other costumes to be found around the theatre, each with their own unique powers, so feel free to use them if you happen to come across them. Well, that's enough explanation. Oh, there's one last thing. If by some stupid reason you attempt to leave in the middle of a show, my manager will come to sort you out personally. And trust me when I say, you do not want that. Honestly, getting torn to shreds and respawning is a much safer option. Well, thank you once again for your participation. Remember, this theatre is not responsible for any deals made with the beast, nor any consequences of that action.
Bruno still didn't fully understand what was going on. But he played along, in the hope that he would be let out of the theater after completing the final show. But the more shows he completed, the more questions he had. How come the entities looked like the ones he should not have killed? Why was he being made to dress up as Wario for the final show? Regardless, Bruno made it to the final show, only to find a demon waiting for him at the end.
Well done. I am wondering, do you even know where you are? Do you even know who I am? I've been called many names through generations, but most people somehow end up calling me Emma. Nice to meet you, and I'll give us a party for what you've been through these past days. Know that it's all for the best. You are now free to leave this city. But before you leave, I've got a secret to share with you. This form, the one that resembles a factory owner. A kind of royalty. You're not the only one who has seen me like this. One of my victims, McRoy, saw me in his dreams too. Was it only a dream, or did he get a glimpse into this very realm? In the end, does it matter? He is dead.
Hello? Testing. Alright, I think I'm recording. I'm trapped down here, but I still have hope. Hope that I will find my way out of here. And hopefully, this recording reaches anyone who suffers a similar fate as I currently do. Listen carefully to what I have to say. Here, underground, there is a structure. A building. I cannot explain it. Once you think there would be a bunker or cavern of some kind down here, but it's all very, very surreal. There's a map of this building down here that you can use. I don't need it anymore. Do like me and open the house more and more to hopefully find a way out of this strange realm. But be careful. Once you unlock a room in this house, something awakens in there. There are things that will try to enter the house in many ways, obscure ways. They will try to breach it, break in order to get to you. You must prevent this from happening at all costs. You must prevent these creatures from entering the house. Hold them back, push them back for as long as you can, because should any of them manage to enter, you can only rely on your prayers. The room they successfully invade will become dangerous, which the map will tell you, but they won't stay in their invaded room forever. They know exactly where you are. Eventually, they will instantly run towards wherever you are. They will kill you. Remember this, okay? I believe there's an exit somewhere in the building. So as you open up more rooms, you'll also have more entities to keep in check. Once you open a room, they will begin invading it. And if they succeed, there is nothing you can do.
To anyone who finds this letter, I don't know where I am. I don't even know what is going on. But during my time here, I've started to piece some things together. I had to check it out, you know. My curiosity got the best of me. After my encounter with Wario, whatever was left of him, as well as Richard McRoy, I just had to investigate the location of both of them had been in just a few years back. I'm not proud of it, but I broke into the closed Wario's fast food factory. Empty, quiet, nothing special. Until I went down into the cellar. It was partly blocked off. I felt like the corridor was turned into tunnels that just kept going further and further down. Keep out signs were everywhere, presumably hung up by Wario himself while he was alive. As I went deeper, I felt a sort of pressure. I can't explain it. It was like my head was softly being squeezed. That's when I found the room at the end of the last tunnel. A strange book was there, an old smell coming from it. The room itself felt weird, like it was closing in on me, and the pressure was even bigger. There was something strange with this place. My watch was going nuts. A compass I had on me spun around in a circle. It was like I had hit some sort of special coordinate. Electrical equipment just went crazy down there. I went back up and brought lots of things with me back down. Power generator, cables, you name it. I had to see that it wasn't just my equipment's fault. And that's what happened. As I attached cables, turned lights on, turned the generator on, turned all electrical devices on, a purple flash. I was suddenly there, in this strange, strange city. I could hear faint screams all around me, far away. I was met by a gentleman in a grey suit and a hat. I tried to ask where the hell I was, but he told me to follow him. He took me to a big theatre, a pitch-black room. Someone was in there with us, but I couldn't see him. I got any sense of his presence, and it gave me a deep, unsettling feeling. As I turned around to ask the gentleman where we were, he was gone. A deep voice whispered to me, "How did you get there? How did you find this place?" And I fell. I fell down what seemed to be a trap door below my feet. In shock, I landed in an attic of a house. I was no longer in this city. Somehow falling below ground brought me to a house in the middle of seemingly nowhere. This is where I am now, confused, scared, and alone. I'm not the first to be here. I don't think so, at least. For some reason, I see drawings of Wario himself down here, painted on the walls. Well, not Wario, but an orange, twisted version of him. Why? Is there more to that man than I first thought? Why is he depicted down here, whoever this is? And why in this strange, tall form? I don't know what's going on with Wario, nor me. I must try to make a map of this place. Maybe someone can come and rescue me, eventually.
Bruno continued to search for the exit of the strange house for 6 days. On the 6th day, all rooms had been opened. He was then left with a total of 8 entities trying to breach the house. So he had to find the exit before it was too late. However, the more he stayed in the house, the more he felt his energy becoming more and more drained. Not simply because he had to run around the house a lot, but rather like his soul was being depleted. At the same time, the entities were getting faster and faster, more aggressive with each passing day. But thankfully, Bruno's suffering was all worth it in the end. For he had finally found the exit. Only for Emma to be waiting for him on the other side.
Congratulations. It's done. Feel tired yet? Exhausted? How do you think all of your victims felt? Did you know about Richard McRoy, one of the many people who suffered the consequences of your misdeed? He's dead. All thanks to you and your little chain reaction you started back in the factory. It's all your fault. And everything that has happened and will happen lies on your shoulders, Mr. Gate. No, I'm not one of these victims. Haven't you noticed how these branches from my root, these viruses, can take any shape they want? How they can take a visual form of the people they possessed, the victims that you killed in cold blood.
Do you even think I'm locked to one voice?
Do you think we're locked to one appearance? Everything
we have possessed, we have
also absorbed.
I am the virus. They're part of me. I'm Emma, as people like to call me. Way back when Wario found our book and set the curse loose, he also set me loose. As I, the curse, the virus, grew stronger by possessing them, I freely roamed around trying to use my limited power to kill anyone who tried to interfere with our plan. We are finally making progress. I'm soon out of here with all my energy this time. Eventually, he will be free. If we can grow strong enough through humans, he will be free.
You don't see it, do you? What this is all about? That greedy nobody finding my curse book in the world above. That scientist Christopher who mastered time and thought he could fix this by sending their spirits back to a new path. Your murders in the factory. My virus taking root in them, growing stronger over time.
Do you really think if this all happened by chance?
It's all one big blueprint. And thanks to your naive stupidity, with the belief that you actually had a chance to leave this place, the plan is almost complete. You feel it, don't you? Your soul, weakened and damaged. My virus, my veins had to grow strong in others before it could drag you down here to us. Now, your show trials are complete. Your soul is shaking and is free for us to use. Free for us to use as a bridge between here and the world above. Thank you, Mr. Gate, for your cooperation. Hopefully your daughter won't suffer a fate as horrific as yours.
Enjoy your eternity in the nothingness.
Everything was going as planned, just as Emma had said. The entities, known as the viruses, were able to drain enough energy from Bruno to phase into the real world. People then started to go missing. The first was Edward Coleman, the one who originally had set the 5 murder victims to rest. The second was a man named Winslow, who used to work in Wario's fast food diner.
Wario, my good man! Do you hear me clearly? I sure hope so, man. You weren't at work today, so I just had to call you to tell you this, cause something crazy went down today.
This was the first building Wario owned before the factory was built. But Emma was not finished with Bruno, as she needed more energy from him to free her master. So, she created a torture chamber like no other. A copy of Wario's factory, in which he had to hide in different rooms to survive, whilst being ruthlessly hunted down by clones of his victims.
Welcome to the factory. It is with great pleasure that we invite you to not die. The god has requested another trial for you, and so we present you with this manifestation of a location you should be familiar with. Let the sins flow through you. If you want to keep your soul, we advise you to play along and not fall into the hands of the enemies. Familiar faces will come from your left and right hand side in the office. Use the camera pad in each night to keep track of where everyone is. Camera buttons with a fiery icon represents the rooms enemies start from, so you can know how many are coming for you, and where in the factory they begin their hunt. Use door lights sparingly, and close the doors when needed. Survive. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the office exit. Enemies will try to attack you from the freezing room, as well as the office. They are coming from both sides. Once an enemy is in the freezing room, he is just one step away from reaching your location. Close the big metal door to stay safe. The enemy won't be able to break it open, and will be forced to turn around and leave after an attempt. Due to the door's metal and density, however, it is not recommended to keeping it closed, as it blocks the signal to the security cameras around the factory. The enemy coming from behind can be gradually pushed back through the camera system by initiating an electroshock in the room he currently resides in. The electroshock requires a cooldown, however, and is activated through the camera systems. The metal door cannot be closed during this operation. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the control room. Enemies will hunt you down from behind, coming from the office. Unfortunately for you, the lights in the office are completely gone, but it has a motion detector. Use your cameras to track enemies and watch carefully as one of them enters the office room. Should you suspect someone resides in there, push the big red button to activate the motion sensor. The entire building's power will go out during scanning. Should the motion detector not detect any presence in the room, it will initiate a normal, slow power reboot, leaving you vulnerable for attack. Should the motion detector actually detect a presence, an emergency reboot will happen. You must send out an electroshock into the office to send the enemy back, and the power will be back immediately on a successful shock. Be careful, however. The different enemies coming for you will each require a different shock. Using the wrong shock has the opposite effect of pushing them back. Track enemies well. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the freezing room. This room has the ability to toggle the temperature in the entire factory via the camera system. You can toggle it easily with a click to change between cold, mild, and hot. The different enemies hunting you down are weak to different types of temperature. If the factory has a temperature they despise, they will move away from you instead of towards you. Use this system to keep enemies away from you. This does not apply to the freezing room itself, however. As it is designed to store food, the temperature will constantly try to sink to a very cold temperature. To prevent a frozen and painful experience, you must keep the temperature up as often as you can, and not let it reach its lowest point. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the bathroom. Welcome to darkness. Only a slight hint of power is left in the building, and the cameras are thus practically unusable when it comes to looking around. However, as this is in the very center of the factory, you won't just be able to hear them now and then, but you will be able to hear each time enemies move to another room. One enemy moves from entrance 2 to a trip down to the cellar, to the machinery, and into your room. The other enemy will move from the control room, through the office exit, and into your room. Due to the power problems, there are safety measures installed in our recreation of Wario's factory. You can scan any room on your camera pad to see if any entity resists there. The scan will require manual recharging. The bathroom you're in has a flash. You must use it whenever an entity has entered. Use it before it's too late. Flashing them should send them back through the hallways, back to where they came from. Flashing while the bathroom is empty, however, will drain quite a lot of power. Track them using sound and scanning, and flash the bathroom only when needed. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the Crossroads. You have chosen to stop in a hallway that does not feature a security camera. A wise choice. However, the entities will not leave you alone. They are still toying with you, taunting you, playing with you in the worst ways. They have infected your camera pad and the camera functionality is gone. You will instead need to play a digital game on your pad, featuring lives. Run out of lives, and you lose. Reach the end of their twisted game, they'll let you live another day. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the storage. This is a room that was used for storing food and other goods. Unfortunately for you, the food here has expired and turned extremely bad. The oxygen levels will slowly drain and you must keep air flowing. You can do this through the camera system, where the air cleaning option will jump between the various security camera options. Keep that air flowing. You don't want it to drain fully. You may experience certain hallucinations due to these circumstances. An entity is also moving towards you from the corridor. Track the entity carefully, as you need to be ready immediately once it appears at the end of the hallway in the storage. You won't have too much reaction time, so you need to know when they are coming and sit prepared. Once anyone shows up, cut the lights with the white button on the wall in order to prevent them from seeing you. This should make them turn back. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the Machinary. Today, the power for the entire factory, which includes your camera pad, will deplete constantly, no matter if you use the camera system or not. In your room, the big machine with the white button on it is a power generator. Activate that to start charging the factory's power up again. While charging, you will be unable to use your security cameras. There are two different entities coming for you today. One resides in the freezing room and will move through the storage and entrance before reaching your location. You cannot defend yourself against this one. Should it reach your room, it's over. You will have to push it back towards the freezing room by staring at it on the cameras. The other entity is different. It currently resides in the office, but as long as there is no noise coming from the power generator, it will stay in its place. It will only move as long as the power generator is charging. Should it reach your room, you will be able to defend yourself and send the entity back by shocking the dark section of the machinery. Be careful, however. Shocking the room when the entity isn't there will drain power. Keep the power up. Should it run out, there is no way to charge it back up. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the corridor. For today, you will experience technical problems. We apologize for this inconvenience. You will only have access to a few of the security cameras, but they are all you need. One enemy alone is roaming around today, but he is not approaching your location in the same way as usual. He is roaming around freely. He wants to play a game of hide and seek. He moves from room to room freely and quickly, between the cellar, entrance 2, and the machinery. However, he can also move into your room from both sides, via entrance 2 and the machinery, as seen on your camera map layout. You won't be able to see him, as he'll either be behind you or around the corner, depending on where he comes from. From here, he can only walk back to the room he came from. Each time he moves to a new room, you should be able to hear him. It is important that you know his exact location at any time. Due to today's technical difficulties that we have prepared for you, the factory's power full shut down at random intervals, and everything will become pitch black. The enemy will stop moving. You will then get 10 seconds to flash the room the enemy is in, either in the corridor itself or through the camera system if he's in one of the other 3 rooms. Flash the room he's in, and he's spotted. The power will be back, he continues his game. Flash an empty room, and you lose power. Don't lose it all. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to the entrance, the final stop before he let you escape for now. An entity is coming for you from down the dark hallway in front of you. Once he's there, you'll have to flash lights at him to push him back. If you flash the hallway when it's empty, it will drain power. However, as he moves quietly, there's no way for you to know when he has arrived. He does, however, move at a fairly consistent speed. Through trial and error, you should get a rough idea of how fast he moves. There is an upside to this. Through the camera system, you can charge up your main power at any time, so flashing an empty hallway does not punish you with irreversible consequences. In addition to this, you may find your camera pad slowly getting corrupted with dark veins. Someone is trying to escape from it. You will jump between all the cameras regularly, find him, and stare him down to slowly reverse his camera corruption. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message. Welcome to Entrance 2. This room connects directly to the cellar and the corridor, where two entities are now coming from. The entity in the cellar is fast asleep and will slowly wake up and make his way to your room. Should he arrive, you will see him through the window to your right-hand side. Quickly shut the lights off to prevent him from seeing you, and he should return to the cellar. The entity from the corridor will most likely be more aggressive. Should he come into your room, flash the lights at him to push him back. Both of them require quick actions should they come into your room. But there's a twist. You cannot flash the room while the lights are off, and it will be too dark to see the entity coming from the corridor if the lights are off. In other words, it's difficult to handle both at the same time. Therefore, it is important to try and split up their arrivals. As long as the entity from the cellar hasn't left his room yet, you can put him back to sleep with the digital music box, which will require manual rewinding after each use. This should help you make sure they don't approach you at the same time. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message.
Hello? Hello, hello? Are you there? Oh, great. Well, welcome to the cellar. You are hiding in one of the rooms below our recreation of Wario's factory. The room where you hid the bodies. The room where you committed your sins. Did you ever think about why there was a cellar in the first place? Did you know about the rest of the underground tunnels in Wario's factory? Did you know about the secrets he kept down there? Maybe you will someday. It depends on how things are going. Anyway, there are two entities coming for you tonight. You currently have two perspectives available to you. One from your location, the cellar, and one from the office. You can only use the cameras from the office perspective, which will, of course, drain power. The first entity starts in the office exit and moves straight towards your room, the cellar. On the wall in front of you, you have an electroshock button. Follow the entity on the camera. And once you know he's right outside your room, give him an electric shock to send him back. If you try to shock the hallway around the corner when no one is there, the power will take a big hit. The other entity, however, is slowly invading, no matter where you are. Once he's ready, he'll appear right in front of you. The only way to prevent a painful experience is to use the office computer to absorb him into the screen, thus resetting his progress. The office computer, however, lacks power. In the cellar, you have to charge up a power battery. And once it's charged up, you can send it straight to the office. Pick it up and insert it into the computer, and it will do the rest of the job once the entity appears. Each time this entity is absorbed, the power battery will be fully depleted, so you will need to send a new one. Since the battery charges very slowly, you should use any opportunity you have to charge one up. If you don't get a battery to the office computer in time, the consequences will be dreadful. This marks the end of this pre-recorded message.
The year was 2745. Christopher Peterson, a scientist who specialized in time, and had a wife named Rosalina, managed to send himself 700 years into the future. Christopher was also the first one who tried to set the spirits of the 5 victims to rest. He instructed his wife to find the spirits and send them back in time. Of course, this did not work. What he found in the future was disturbing. The whole world had become a ghost town, not a soul was to be seen. After much research of what went wrong, he eventually came to know of the curse book. His plan was then to make sure that Wario never found it and that none of this would ever happen. To help him achieve this, he brought someone else from the past to the future. His name was James. The one that reopened Wario's factory 7 years after Bruno's murders.
Doesn't feel right at all. I'm on my way over to you right now, in fact. I'll take the night shift alongside you tonight, okay? I'll be there very soon. Do you ever get that feeling, Richard? Like the air feeling off. The wind is haunting. Have I been here before, Richard? Have we been here before? This dream... Is this now, Richard? Has this...
dedication to the time travel project paid off in the end. It appears the fabric of space and time isn't exactly the way we foresaw it. This has given me a new insight into how our worlds are all connected. But this future confirms the deepest fear I had in my heart. Whatever happened back then simply continued on in a new timeline. The world is now a wasteland. My research has to continue, in a hope that I one day may return to my dearest wife, Rosalina. According to my data, my wife kept her promise and did what I asked her to do before I left. And my hypothesis was right. The life energy of a human, or a human soul, can indeed be extracted from the physical body by my machine. Unfortunately, it appears to have made things worse. Archived phone recordings lead me to believe this curse eventually got lifted. But something must have gone wrong along the way. It's still unclear to me what this entity is, and even how much she's able to observe. But thanks to my newly developed tracker machine of undetectable matter, her existence is almost as good as confirmed. I have named it Emma. Whether or not she is connected to the collapse of Mr. McRoy and the events that followed is still unclear. Whatever she is, she may be the key to what this is all about. What do I do from here? I'm afraid the empty earth has taken a toll on me. Maybe the unseen one is the one to blame for this, where I'm just a piece in a game of chess. I fear my time is running low. Someone must take my spot. Dear James, when you hear this message, I may be gone. It's dangerous to speak in this way. I fear Emma is listening. I fear she knows what I know. I fear she knows about my knowledge of her existence. But there's no time to waste. You have probably gotten some ideas of what is going on from calling Richard every night in Wario's fast food factory. I've brought you here to help me stop whatever is happening. The technology here is exactly what it says on the tin. Use it to send a message back to yourself. She might hear this message, but that's a risk I simply have to take. You have more time than I do. Encrypt a message and return it to the past. A message she cannot decipher.
Unfortunately for James, Emma knew exactly what was going on. She attacked him. However, he was able to fight back. After a long battle, Emma was defeated. He then met up with Christopher again, who instructed him to finally put an end to all of this. Was this finally the end of the curse? Would he really undo everything that Emma and her master had planned? Given the time left in this video, you probably know the answer is no. For Emma's master had one plan left: to tempt Bruno into doing the unthinkable, and to set him free.
Pathetic! Will death strike you down, Christopher? Bruno, my dear visitor. You look scared, confused, and you should be scared with confidence. Now to explain the situation to you. In your world, time flows in linear pattern, like a river. If time takes damage through extreme energy, it will split like a rock, cutting a river in half. All souls will be split into two, like a cracked mirror showing pieces of the one picture. And similar to a river, it will eventually come back together, combining into one. The greedy man, Wario, he let loose a fraction of our powers from the book. What a clown! This man, Christopher, tried to stop him by sending this soul energy back in time. This resulted in the flow of time, the normal world splitting in two. Two parallel timelines, yet it's all linear, for the second cannot exist without the first. Of course, this led to where we are now. My plan was almost complete. Until then, James and Christopher ruined everything. My curse got destroyed. Now the new nodes are already playing alter the beginning. Time is universal. If my curse never releases, none of this will happen. So, that effect takes place. This whole future is altered. You never reach this place. However, there's a little twist here, my friend. A twist that involves you. There exist other worlds outside of your own. This is one of them. Yet another world above yours exists as well. Place of great beauty, as you have been trying to reach. Imagine imprisoning the rightful God in an underworld. I will never see that place. And you, once everything resets, will never see your daughter again. That is unless you want my assistance. I can help you, Bruno. This heavenly realm, I do not know what resides there, but I feel a strong connection. It feels like the place holds the secret to the vision of my being. I will use the last of my powers to print a memory in you. It may just be preserved through the time reset if I use it all. Listen carefully, Bruno. Once it's all returned, find my book. It is buried in the dirt close to Wario's fast food factory. Sell your entire soul to me. You have the strongest soul I've ever witnessed. It may just be strong enough to fully free me. I will make your daughter healthy again. Let us take back what belongs to us together. make your daughter healthy again. Let us take back what belongs to us together.
My name is Bruno Gate. What have I done?
And so, the beast resurrected Bruno. Back to a time before Wario had found the cursed book. Bruno ended up finding the book. Hoping this would be his last chance of saving his daughter's life, he read a spell that sold his soul to the beast. Immediately, the beast rose from the underworld and started taking over. Small theaters then started to show up everywhere, as did the viruses. One by one, the townsfolk would be kidnapped and locked away in each of them for the beast's amusement. One of these people was the man named Richard McRoy.
The problem is growing. World catastrophe. I saw him. I saw them. We can't do anything about it. 14 people dead. They're everywhere. New ones keep over.
What is this? What is this? What is... Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, honoured guests, and welcome to the theatre. We apologise for the way you've been brought here against your will, but we know we run these theatres in a much more civilised manner. However, given the current situation of my manager being released and is now conquering the entire town, that is unfortunately not possible. Now, I know you may be screaming in terror and confused on what's happening, but unfortunately I cannot hear you as this is a pre-recorded message. This message will be played in every single theatre around that have now emerged from the underworld, and I refuse to make an appearance at each one just to torture some poor soul such as yourself. Oops, did I say torture? What I actually meant was prepare. Prepare you for what exactly? You see those 5 tunnels before you? Each one will take you to an exciting theatrical experience, where if you get through, you'll be one step closer to earning your freedom. But failing it will mean, well, death. But don't worry, time does not exist within these walls, and if you do end up having an accident, time will reset, and you'll wake up in this very room again. However, you only have so many resets available to you, so let's call them lives. Now, to earn more lives, you'll need to complete one of the 5 shows you see before you. You can choose the difficulty as well. The harder it is, the more lives you can earn. However, failing a show on Insanity difficulty will cause you to lose 2 lives, so there is some risk involved. However, my manager requires to see some variety as well. Hence, once you beat a show on a certain difficulty, you cannot do it again, as that is boring. We used to allow you to use your lives to buy items to help, but due to budget constraints and having to make thousands of these theatres, the shows themselves have gotten smaller. Hence, we didn't think that you really needed much assistance. And instead of there being a final show for you to take on, you can use your lives to break down the door behind you, which you can use to escape. Alright, now let me quickly go through the 5 shows. Please pay attention to the screen in front of you. In the catacombs, there'll be a monster/entity coming to destroy you. You'll need to track him by charging up room scans. It is weak to bright light, so once you believe he's right in front of you, use your flashlight to eliminate him before he eliminates you. In the Devil's Kitchen, you'll need to grab 15 ingredients in a specific order, and add them to the bowl. The ingredients will be on the desk in front of you, and you'll need to grab a new one from the shelf behind you after every use. Be quick though, as our star chef Emma will lose her patience very quickly. Next is computer infection, where you'll be locked in a small room with a computer, and you'll be tasked with 3 things: keeping the computer charged, removing unwanted virus ads, and keeping the corruption away. Also, be careful when charging the computer. There is another monster in your room who hates being looked at. Our 4th show is behind doors and involves a maze in 9 identical rooms for you to navigate through and find crystals of spirit essence with your flashlight. Just be careful not to flash too many monsters, otherwise they may get angry. Lastly is illusion, a small game of spot the difference. But if you get the answer wrong, then the shadow will turn into a monster for you to play with. The difficulty will determine what kind of shadow you'll get. Alright, good luck. Oh, if you are wondering what happens when you run out of lives, let's just say my manager is really looking forward to it. So please, try not to disappoint.
Yes, this is Richard. Who is this? I don't know any Christopher Peterson, so I'm sorry, but this is not a good time to chat. Huh? Yes, my father did work on stuff like that, but that's all I know. He was very secretive of his work. You work for him? Yes, I did catch him working on some science stuff that I don't know much about. Time, DNA, space, that sort of stuff. You think so? I can always take a look back in our old home. You really think his research can help us with the situation we're in? Alright, Christopher. I'll head over there straight away and see what I can find. The old living room he used as a private office. Father sure spent a lot of time in here. Did he know anything about what is currently happening? Oh God! Oh dear! Come on! Come on! Come on, Father! Tell me you knew anything what we're up against! Let's see. Here, we might have something. It is still my belief that there is something wrong with this world. I always found it strange that the land Wario brought for this factory was never claimed by anyone else beforehand. After researching, it's clear that there are some strange magnetic forces at hand where his factory is built. Magnetic and electrical forces, as well as unknown dark forces leaking through our radars. Something that seemed to be a polar opposite to the electrical forces. If our theory of an underworld and overworld is true, this might just be a gateway to these hypothetical destinations. I've never seen disturbances like this anywhere else before, but why here? Why was Wario allowed to build here, yet everyone else have been denied it for decades and decades? I fear a dark age is ahead. If these dark anomalies are to be believed, its opposite force, electricity, might be our saviour in such a situation. I know not what we may be dealing with eventually, but something is coming. Dear Godfather, I must tell this Christopher guy about this right away.
With this new information from Richard's father, Christopher now had a plan to destroy the beast. He sent Richard to 2 locations to find electrical components. The first was the original building Wario had owned, Wario's fast food diner. The second was a building that, in a different timeline, was WarioWare Incorporated. Thanks to the great time reset, it was now nothing but a regular building. Although when Richard set foot in it, something felt off. His watch and phone stopped working for a short time. The room suddenly turned red. He then caught a glimpse of a figure in the distance, which looked a bit like Mario. Suddenly the room went back to normal and his devices were working again. Confused on what just happened, he then went to Wario's fast food factory to set a trap for the beast. Only to fall into the tunnels below the factory. And be hunted down by something with a very eerie laugh. Luckily, he managed to escape, leaving Wario to proceed with the final step of Christopher's plan. That is the end of the story of Bruno Gate. But that was not the end of everything. For just as Richard's father mentioned in his notes, where there is an underworld, there is also an overworld. Through defeating the beast, a gate to this heavenly realm finally opened, and Wario one day came across it. However, rather than finding a place of great beauty, he would end up finding a place that would explain how the world came to be. And that he was no more than a video game character. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And I hope this final cutscene doesn't give you too many goosebumps.